It's not a bird, it's not a plane, it's Superhero Slate. It's a weekly podcast where we talk about everything that's great. Like movies, TV, superheroes. It's Superhero Slate. Oh, yeah.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Superhero Slate, the show where we run down the latest superhero entertainment news.
We love TV, movies, and superheroes, so let's talk it all out.
My name is Chris.
And my name is Mike.
And this week, we have our first official trailer for Marvel's Thunderbolts. Mike, I'm so excited you know about this, but we had a leak and now we have the official footage.
Yes, very confusing for me because you always send me these leaks, and I'm like, I feel like I watched this already, but this says it's the first time anyone's seen it, so I have to believe the internet, right?
Yeah, it's like we were really there at San Diego Comic-Con, Mike, or D23, but this is the real stuff. And there's more to it. It's not the exact same, so we'll talk about those differences and some more little notes we can get with the high-def trailer. DC wants a Bane and Deathstroke movie, which was news I never thought I'd get to say out loud. That Deadpool Wolverine money is definitely getting them hyped over there, I guess. So we'll talk about that. The Last of Us Season 2 receives its first look with a teaser trailer. Mike, I want to get your thoughts on that because I've not played the games. And more.
Yeah, it's we were talking about, I think, snacks. We always talk about snacks.
Food
Is it just
food first, superhero second, right? Like that's where it is.
Yeah. I finally caved and I told Chris, I was like, there's too many to keep track of. So I tried to compile like a shared note on my phone, and I was like, this still isn't the best way to do it. I think you recommended like one of like using like the check boxes in the Notes app and maybe just like typing it out in text. So that is going to be the way to go because the images are kind of just slowing me down. Too much scrolling.
It looked like somebody.
But I was able to find finally. I was able to find one thing finally from all of these like fall snacks, and it was the pecan Snickers.
Yes.
Finally, just a casual trip into CVS for prescriptions, not candy at all, and I just see it there right at the checkout at the front. And I was like, hell yeah, time to go, buddy, time to ride, because you had this a couple weeks ago.
Yep.
So now I finally caught up, and your assessment I feel like was pretty on point. You said it kind of leans into that turtle variety of candy.
Yeah, it's
and
like
I got that as well.
Yeah, it's like a turtle, chocolate covered turtle. It's I don't know. A turtle is essentially a Snickers, but squished down, right? Like literally, like you got the caramel, the pecan, a little bit of nougat. Like that's what it is, and I feel like this is pretty on point. If you enjoy those, that's what you're going to get out of this along the way.
Yeah, Andy can't have any dairy or nuts right now because she's breastfeeding. Our newborn is not vibing with that stuff right now. So she made me get an extra one and we put it in the freezer. Yeah. So I was like, babe, I looked at the back of this candy bar and this bar is good until like May next year. I gotta hope the little one grows out of it by then. Yeah. She's like, I don't care, throw it in the freezer. I was like, all right. So we're gonna see how it holds up because I don't know how limited this is or how long it's gonna be out for.
You sent me a picture with 3 and I'm like, he's going all in
for any scenario.
Like this guy is getting everything he can get out of there. These
bars, I grew up in a caramel chocolate pecan household. That combo is very, very sought after in my home due to my father who really likes chocolate covered turtles. So I sent him a picture to it. I'm never sending snack found photos to my father, but I was like, hey, you got to look out for this new Snickers. He's just like, looks good. And I was like, all right, that's a response. If I get a response and text message for him, that just means my father has interacted with technology, which is a good sign. Obviously we're still on the lookout for more. Superfan Jim sent me a picture the other week that he finally tracked down the Welch's grape ghost. He said he found it at a Walmart. So they're out there in the world, but for some reason, Chris, between you and I, we can't find it. And I'm honestly shocked that you can't get it because you're always getting stuff out there in Louisville like weeks and months before I find it. So I'm not so shocked that I can't get it, but I'm surprised you haven't found it yet.
The internet says it's at Kroger, and we went to Kroger last week. I see a sticker. Great. Went back to Kroger. My wife was there today. She messaged me. She's like, the sticker's gone. I'm like, son of a bitch. Where is this drink at, and where can I get it? Because the
funny.
internet says it's there.
It builds up in your and it just builds up in your mind. Like I was on a walk with my wife the other day, and we were just kind of chatting, and I was just like, the funny thing is me and Chris are hunting down these snacks all the time, and most of the time I don't really like whatever is new out there in the world, but I kind of like the challenge that these brands are out there kind of being like, hey, sorry, we've crushed it decades ago and we invented the best candy bar like a century ago, and we're trying to improve on it, or we figured out all the perfect drink combinations already, so sorry if it's hard to come up with something new that you'll like, but it's the thrill of the hunt. So once I find that drink in the store, ooh, like we have a cousin in a group chat who was talking about how a real life hunting season is starting for them soon, and I'm just like, oh, me and Chris, I get it. We're hunting ourselves. We got our own white whales and bucks out there, but they're
we hunt
different
to eat.
Form of edible. It usually comes in a wrapper.
Yeah, we hunt to eat. We're not hunting for sport. We're hunting to eat. So obviously we're having a good time here with that. The ghost. I told Mike. I have never been to so many gas stations and stores and come out empty-handed than looking for this damn grape Welch Ghost energy drink. Like I normally I'll find something, but like all these stores, nothing at all.
Yeah, and I wonder if you feel the same way, because most people that walk into a convenience store or a gas station are purchasing something, right? If you've made the commitment to walk into that kind of establishment, you're walking out with something. Mm-hmm. It feels very, very awkward to walk into a gas station or convenience store, walk around the entire store, looking up and down at any possible like corner or like special end cap that it could be, and then walk out with nothing. Because the whole time the people behind the counter are like, are you casing the joint? What are you doing? It's like, oh, sorry, I'm looking for a very specific snack and I don't see it, so I'm going. It's hard out there for us.
Well, I will tell you, there are two things out coming out soon. Right now, the Mountain Dew Pitch Black, the original Pitch Black, is at fountain drinks at, I believe, 7-Eleven Speedways right now. So I might take a journey to try to find that. The other thing is, in a couple of weeks, McRibs are back at McDonald's, and boy, am I a McRib lover. Mike, you know this. And for those who may not notice, there's like a good 5-second delay between me and Mike today. I don't know what's going on with this. Our technology normally works, but we had an audio issue first, and now a little bit of a delay, Mike. So bear with us as we kind of work through this. It usually gets fixed.
We will figure it out.
Yeah. So, but I guess we can just go ahead and not riff on snacks too long. We can jump into the news here. Hellboy, the Crooked Man, Mike. It's October. Or it's almost October. It'll be October this week. We're in spooky season. We want to watch scary movies, and for those who have been interested following this low-budget, very stripped-down Hellboy or isolated Hellboy journey, Hellboy the Crooked Man, it's coming to digital on October 8th for pay video on demand in the U.S. So I think that's great, people, for those who may not be able to get to the theaters this month, even though I think it would have been a great theater get. But I know international, it did hit theaters, so it's kind of skipping theaters here in the U.S. and going straight to streaming, paid streaming, and then probably in a couple weeks, maybe even after Halloween, it'll be on regular streaming, which is not an indicator of quality, just how it is.
There's gotta be a story behind the inception of this movie overall, right? I mean, we've all seen the trailer. We all know it's giving off, to be fair, say just different vibes compared to the other Hellboy movies. Some people are resonating with it, some people aren't. But this distribution model, very, very odd, right? Usually when you're distributing something, there's like the international market and then the domestic, as in domestic, usually United States. Usually what it means, because most of these things are produced within the United States or from corporations inside of it. So it's odd that the domestic release is just VOD, but it has a totally different international release that I believe it is going to theaters internationally, if I recall correctly.
It's been out in theaters,
and it's going and it's releasing there first. So I gotta think that, I don't know if this is hinting towards the quality of the movie. Maybe the writing was on the wall and the financiers of this film was just like, get as much out of it as you can. We want our money back. You know, if there's an international distributor that says we want it first and we'll pay you more for it, do it. It's all very, very, it's odd. It's not traditional to do this, especially with like a comic book IP.
So
right?
I will say, I went and looked it up on thing. I'm like, okay, who's the production companies? There's 4 production companies: Millennium Media, Dark Horse Entertainment, which obviously is the comic book company, New Boyana Film Studios, and Campbell Grobman Films. I've never heard of any of these companies, Mike. And then also it's distributed by Catch Up Entertainment, which I've also never heard of. So they, obviously the people who have these rights who've made this movie are shooting for low budget, and they're not the standard, big, we're not getting like millions of dollars from marketing and distribution deals. So it sounds like it's just low budget all around, which is what, what's that other company that does all the scary movies? I can't think of them off the top of my head.
Oh, Blumhouse.
Yeah, what they do. So how they started, I guess, before they got big. So I don't think it's quality. I just think it's, hey, we have an idea, we want to film it. The people who signed up for it, who believed in us, are the people who don't have lots of money. So we're going to do the best distribution kind of thing that we can along the way.
Yeah, it's gonna be weird because they're not really gonna get a chance to go, I guess, maybe viral in any sort of way. The only way to do that domestically is gonna be through a streamer, right? Like even really bizarre, out there things like Winnie the Pooh, like Blood and Honey. Like those kind of get attention because it's such a like an oddball, off the wall idea, and I don't recall that ever getting like a straight to stream release unless it was like Shudder or something. But I gotta imagine it was like VOD or something to go catch that. But I feel like this is going to be released like unless it's insanely bad or insanely good, no one's ever going to talk about this movie again. So it's really going to be up to the couple brave souls that want to watch it and talk about it online. I think we'll know here in about a week or so.
Well, so to me, I thought this is a good thing because I know you would never go to the theaters to watch this, like, right, unless it was like, again, newsworthy. No. So I think this is actually a better opportunity for you to watch it sooner, especially since we're going to be in October in Halloween month. I'm excited to watch it. I have nothing. I have no bad feelings on this. I want to see it. I'm familiar with this story a little bit from the comic books, and obviously with having Mike Mignola on the script as well is interesting. And Brian Taylor, part of the duo who filmed the Ghost Rider Spirit of Vengeance, the Mark Neveldine Taylor. So I don't know if you ever watched the second Ghost Rider or the Crank movies. They did the Crank movies. So Ghost Rider Spirit, like, it has a Ghost Rider literally pissing fire in one scene. So I'm like, oh, there's some off the wall scenes in that one. So I'm expecting to maybe see some of that in here. But great, October 7th, October 8th on PVOD. So you'll have to pay to stream it. But if you're into it, want to support it, get ready to catch that up. On the other side, there are movies that I think shouldn't be distributed in theaters and should go straight to streaming. And this next movie feels like one of those movies. And you literally, I didn't tell you this, you really reiterated that feeling at the end of it. And we have the trailer for Elevation. It's Anthony Mackie, Brenna Baccarin, versus some sort of dinosaur aliens that can't go past a certain elevation point is what it looks like. They don't say this exactly in the trailer, but you can see a line where they're like, oh, if they go too high, they probably don't live or survive, and they have to, Anthony Mackie has to come down. But you look at the end of this, you're like, I'm surprised it doesn't say this is on Prime Video or something, because this movie does feel like a straight to streaming kind of gig.
Yeah, it felt almost like a sequel to that Chris Pratt movie that was on Amazon Prime, where they're like traveling in time and they're fighting like an alien race. And that goes into my one other observation I have about this trailer. Yes, is why is there like no creative vision when it comes to these like alien invaders? Right? Like, I know this is from the producers of The Quiet Place. I would say like I've kind of warmed up to the visual design of The Quiet Place monster. I watched a couple Halloween like haunted house walkthroughs. Was it Universal Horror Nights or something? I forgot what they call it exactly. But they had a Quiet Place haunted house in there, and then there was like a scary Quiet Place monster like in every room of the Quiet Place haunted house. And I could appreciate them a little bit more because somebody had to like build them and put them together. But why is it always just like some sort of like dog that looked like it was dipped in goo and then it has tendrils? Like that just seems to be the go-to for some sort of like alien. Like even the what is it? Thanos' like Outriders kind of have like the same vibe. It's like can we not think of anything else? Like, I would say, I could blame AI if it was like churning out this concept art, but if this movie's already coming out, probably not AI. But also at the same time, if you do have AI, you should be able to make thousands of permutations of concept art of what an alien could look like invading the Earth and pick something that just looks more clever because it just looks like a dog dipped in goo, and you put some extension cables on its head. Like
the problem is, Mike, that model is already created, so they can just relicense it and add a couple extra tendrils on this tail. At the end of the day, this trailer. Design aside, it's like the most generic trailer, right? Like, oh, we're living outside in the a high elevation is cold. We've got to come down and we've got to, run from these creatures that we can't really see. Anthony Mackie has to blow one up shooting some, like, I guess, air tanks. There's the run. There's, it's just everything about this trailer screams generic. It doesn't feel like they're even doing anything different to combat them other than run. They're now the apex predator and humans are their prey. Like, it just oozes just blandness, and that really isn't doing it for me. And I'm like, this movie secured theatrical distribution somehow, and Hellboy couldn't.
They even have this like they have like this acoustic guitar going through the trailer, and it even feels like they kind of fit like the color mood and the color correction that you see like in The Last of Us.
Right,
so it feels like they're
exactly.
trying to like lean into that a little bit, and it just feels generic. And also we need to speak the quiet part out loud. Me and Chris Anthony Mackie is just our ick. We don't know why. We can't really explain it. I mean, we kind of can, but like for some reason, like we just cannot get on board with Anthony Mackie. But I mean, props to his agent. This dude is always making movies. Like, it's like he got his big break as Falcon in the MCU, and he was just like, I'm doing every movie that comes across my plate because I love working.
You don't remember in 8 Mile, right? He got the start in 8 Mile, as a faced character with lines, but
he obviously didn't. If I didn't remember,
he had some lines and some FaceTime in 8 Mile, but obviously he hit the general public with being Falcon, and I don't mind him as the Falcon. Really don't mind him as the Falcon. So I don't know what it is. I know he's got, obviously Twisted Metal and season 2 coming out. He's got this, other stuff. There's this clip where he talks about making Daddy a sandwich. Have you seen that yet? Like, and it just, I'm like, do you have thousands of bottles of baby oil in your house too? Because I don't. Something's not feeling right here. So I'm not accusing him of anything. He's probably a lovely gentleman. He's out there working. He's doing what he loves. Can't fault him for that. It just doesn't. It just Russells are Jimmys, if you will, in not the good way. So, but you bring up a really good point. This trailer very much feels like The Last of Us, right? The TV show that we watched and based on the video game. And we got a Last of Us season 2, the first trailer released by Max. And from what I can tell. From what all the news articles I read, because I read all these articles about The Last of Us. I know a lot about the games. I know a lot about the show, and how they've cast different people. Someone named Abby, I think, who's in this trailer. The guitar scenes are very popular, Mike. But obviously they can't do everything one for one based on the games, because they have to make changes. They have to adapt a little bit and be different. Does you playing both games, does this get you hyped for season 2? Do you see any parallels here? Can you tell us more about it?
Oh yeah, this is great. I mean, there's so much more that happens within the second game, and the game has a very, very specific turning point and a midpoint through it as well. So I'm kind of curious, and I'm sure most people that play the game how many seasons is it going to take to adapt the second game? Neil Druckmann's involved, so they can obviously go any direction they want, and he can just create new content off the top of his head because you're adapting it straight from his brain at this point in time. So it's kind of all canon, but also not canon at all in a way because they did that mirrored shot in that first season to hint at this is a slightly different, universe in a way. There's a big event that happens at the very beginning of the second game. Very curious how long that's going to take to happen in this next season. So, but yeah, the intensity of the trailer, it's very, very intense. I always look into the comments just to make sure nobody's spoiling it for anybody else, but people seem to be tame and not spoiling anything.
It seems a lot like this season has a lot more of the they're not zombies, but the cordyceps creatures involved, right? Like it seems to be there's going to be more of them because my gripe about the first season, I'm like, well, it's obviously people living in the apocalypse, but we only really got like a couple cordyceps, scenes. So it looks like they're going to be leaning into that. Maybe like there's one like a subway trailer, and then one in another some fences breaking down. What is that?
Yeah, there's like a horde of them that charge this commune that's shown off in the trailer. And I guess this just goes to show that I either don't remember things as well, or maybe somebody's shouting at me that like I'm a fake fan because I just don't remember. I've only played the second game once, but I don't recall like a big horde of them charging that fence / wall around that area, that city in the mountains. But I could be wrong. Maybe I'm just totally forgetting. But yes, I agree. More zombies, if you will, would be great. But the first season did exactly what it needed to do. It proved that this is a show that you can pump money into and get returns on subscriptions. Yeah. So I'm expecting season 2 to be nutso butso, and I'm ready for it.
Yeah, I do think knowing the game and the popularity of the actors, I think they're going to have to split this season up, or game 2 into 2 seasons. So I would love to see that rather than just kind of going off, because if that's the case, season 2 is done, right? If they're just following the games with season per game, like we're done. And I think this show has enough legs that it could go an extra season or 2 to tell more story along the way. But that's not the only trailer. The other trailer, the third trailer of 4 trailers, the other one's at the end of the show, is for Ballerina from the world of John Wick, Mike. And this is the spinoff for John Wick, for the Ballerina. We saw them, I think, in John Wick 3. So this takes place during John Wick 3 of the ballerinas who are trained to be assassins. And we get all the usual suspects, right? We get the guy who runs the hotel. I can't think of his name off the top of my head. I love John Wick series, but I don't stop and think about the characters. I don't come back and live in the world of these assassins. But it is fun to watch because they do get some creative stuff in here. We get to see Anna de Armas whoop some ass. We get to see Keanu Reeves show up at the beginning and into the trailer. But you brought one again. You mentioned one of the coolest scenes in this, right? A flamethrower versus water hose.
Yes, that's something I feel like would have been an episode of Mythbusters if it wasn't already back in the day. So that's what I love about this, I guess, franchise overall, is just the creativity with the combat. It's putting fresh stuff on the screen, even though we've seen people shoot guns at each other, for the entire existence of Hollywood. So it's fun to kind of see it taken in a creative angle. The trailer made me excited for a future of this. What is it actually called? Like the world of John Wick? Is that the subtitle of this Ballerina? It's like right
from
above
the world of John Wick.
end.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Even though Keanu Reeves is technically in this movie, it looks like he's probably showing up in the third act to give some words of wisdom, shoot a couple guys in the face, and then, disappear into the night. It makes me feel like, as long as the same kind of creators are involved, they can really just slot any protagonist into this badass role and they'll just be off to the races. But I did see somebody online put together like a short rundown of like the production history of this movie, and apparently it was very tumultuous. I don't remember all of it. I'm just kind of recapping somebody else's recap off the top of my head. But I guess the original director, I shit the bed, and then the original creator of the John Wick series had to step in, and a lot more money was involved. There was a lot of reshoots. There's people like quoted saying like, "Oh, you might as well just call the reshoots a new movie. Like, we've just started from page zero again." So hopefully that all showed up on the trailer, and that's why we like it now, and maybe all the hard work is there. But if that is true, I do like the idea that the creator of this universe is so fond of it that they'll step back in and fix things, that they are hands-on. I like that.
So yeah, just look at them. I mean, going off Wikipedia rather than the news, I don't have any way to put it here, but it says they started filming November 7th, 2022. So it seems like the production on this isn't that, extended, right, at the end of the day. So I think they cast what's his name? The guy who played Soul in The Acolyte had to drop out. They got another actor instead to play that. But it doesn't look like it. But the producer Chad Stileski, who did run the other ones, did come back and has been working on this as well. So either way, good news or bad news, the trailer got me hyped to step back into the John Wick world. Right, we get that blue. We get that pink, or I guess teal and pink, color palette of the John Wick universe where they lean into the neon stuff. Ana de Armas, obviously, I wouldn't say she's not a great actress, but I think she sells the role of like, hey, she's a small, petite woman. So obviously you're going to underestimate her. And she kicks that dude in the nuts a couple times. She's like, as an assassin, you don't play by the rules. You do every dirty trick to win, kind of thing. So I'm excited to dive back in. Obviously, I don't have any investment. I think these are fun little, as we would call them, popcorn flicks, right? We go in, watch them, go home, maybe catch them in the background later down the road, or if you have if you're a holiday event, someone's like, oh, we'll throw in a movie, probably throw in one of those John Wick movies. Pretty cool stuff. So I'm down with this, Mike. Nothing's offending me across this board here, and it's cool to see Keanu Reeves come back in it, right? Like obviously the guy who did this, so popping him back in there, it's gonna be good. So we'll see. I just wish, and I think you agreed with me on this when we talked about it, like everybody has these damn coins, like everyone's an assassin in this world, like that amped up really, like escalated very quickly, right? Where everyone's an assassin hunting people. So hopefully, they scale that back a little bit. Let's get to the superhero news. Superman is coming on, and James Gunn has brought in Alan Tudyk in an unspecified role. Like the guy, the Tudyk verse. He's in everything. What's he not in these days, right? Obviously, he's already voicing.
What's he voice acting?
Yeah, he's already voicing Dr. Phosphorus in Creature Commandos, the big bright yellow skeleton dude, right? So I don't think he's coming back in for that. I don't think they're going to live action that dude into this movie. But the theory is, as you mentioned, voice acting, he's probably doing an animal, much like he's done in other films. And I put the characters.
Yeah, I've seen some.
Go ahead.
I've seen some like fan casting of possibly what Mixel Pixel, is that how you say his name? The little the wizard dude that floats around.
Yeah, he's already done that voice, so I'm pretty sure. But maybe not. I know he's in Harley Quinn as the Joker and Clayface in Harley Quinn. So wouldn't be surprised if he's already run that role into the ground. Not into the ground, but he's already done that role. I don't think. I think he's going to be. We've heard rumors of Chip, the Green Lantern squirrel, or Krypto, the Superdog in this movie. So I could see him doing the voices for those, right? Being CGI kind of things.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's already been all but confirmed that Krypto is in the movie, at least in some aspect. Mm-hmm. I'm not super familiar with Krypto, the dog, in a more realistic setting. Does the dog speak English, or would this just be Alan Tudyk like doing the barking noise?
Yeah, I think he's doing the noise. I think he's doing the animals. Like I kind of looking at some other stuff he's done. He's just done really just animal noises across some of his other roles. So yeah, I don't know, but obviously he brings it all together, right? Like he's done everything. I literally went and looked at his just his TV credits. He's done dozens of characters in Harley Quinn, including Joker and Clayface. He's been in MODOK, the claymation show is Arcade. He's in Zootopia. He's in Transformers as Optimus Prime. He's doing Creature Commandos. He's K2SO in Andor coming up, Mike, because we know he'll be in the next season. So many crazy things. This is great. I mean, I think this is a great grab across that. And he was in that what was that? Doom Patrol. He was the main villain in Doom Patrol as well. So dude has his hands in everything. And I keep doing this. I'm not looking up, but he was what was that DC show? What was it called? Powers? Not Powers, where they were like the insurance company for DC. And he was like the main guy running the office for that too. So, do you think he has dirt on somebody over there, or is he just that nice of a? He's got a better agent than Anthony Mackie.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, so he's everything. But we'll keep you guys posted. I think Superman. I am excited for a trailer for Superman, Mike. I think knowing that the Super Bowl games are getting hyped for next year. The football games are happening. Super Bowl is coming up. I'm excited for our first Superman trailer around the corner. Mm-hmm. Moving into some finally some Green Lantern confirmations here. They've cast Kyle Chandler. I remember him from Godzilla King of Monsters. Everyone else is like, oh, he was in Friday Night Lights. I'm like, Friday Night Lights was like 15 years ago, wasn't it?
He's Coach Lantern. I'm excited.
Yes. Yeah. So he's literally going to be Hal Jordan, the Green Lantern, in this upcoming series. So obviously going for that older, grizzled kind of character, someone who's been around a bit. But the rumor is he's only signed on for one series, and that's it. No movies, nothing else, which are leading people to believe that he might be killed off at the end. But, you know, the baggage from Green Lantern, right? A movie so bad that Ryan Reynolds still pokes fun of it in his Deadpool movies. And he was the main actor. It's just, I think, going to... no one wants to take that role, right? With that much, I guess, weight on it. But
yeah, I mean, I think this will be interesting, right? I don't know if I can recall another superhero movie, even if we go back in time, you know, previous to the MCU, where there's kind of two mantle leads of the same character, right? Mm-hmm. You know, we had in Spider-Man's in Tom Holland's Spider-Man, you know, he was kind of the protege of Iron Man, but he was kind of in the movie a little bit, and they're kind of two different characters with like different power sets.
It's not a
even
Peter
though they're
and
kind of both wearing
Miles
Stark suits now that I think about it.
Yeah,
exactly. So I kind of like this. I think I'm gonna like the dynamic that's going on here between kind of like master and apprentice in a way. And then kind of building out the Green Lantern lore, because we're really kind of gonna get a feel for maybe what Gunn wants his DC universe to feel like with something like Green Lantern. It's a very goofy power set, right? Because you can make anything, and the character famously makes goofy things like big wooden mallets to hit people with, which looks cool. Like, I'm not saying it's not cool, but you got to set the tone in your universe, right? Because I don't know, Doctor Strange kind of does stuff like this sometimes, but it usually stays pretty abstracted, like shining sparky discs that cut things in half, you know?
Magic versus this, like, again, for people who don't know, Green Lanterns are powered by a lantern battery on a planet called Oa. And literally through their willpower, they can channel this green hard light constructs through the ring to create whatever they want. Again, if you go back and watch Ryan Reynolds' Green Lantern, he created like a Hot Wheels track, right, for like one of the cars to land on, or, you know, machine guns. They can do anything in the world, so, or anything they can even think of. So it's only limited by their imagination. So you're right, they need to come in and do something different. And having Kyle Chandler, like, again, like someone who's been on the streets, like they're beat cop for the galaxy, and I think this series may come out maybe the same time Supergirl does. So you could have the galaxy being explored on two different sides, right? For that, it'd be interesting to get it. And then the younger part is Jon Stewart. People who are maybe more familiar with Justice League Unlimited or the cartoons from the late 90s, early 2000s may know Jon Stewart as their Green Lantern, right? A little more. So they're going to have a younger Green Lantern. And some of the actors who are lined up for that include Damson Idris, Aaron Pierre, boy, I don't know how to say the same, Sope Dirisu, Kelvin Harrison Jr. and Tohib Jimo. I've got stuff that are in there. I believe it's down to maybe Damon Idris and Aaron Pierre. One of these guys was in that Netflix movie. Was it is it River Ridge or something like that? It just came out, whatever it's called. It's supposedly one of those, like, one of the best movies on Netflix. I've heard a lot of good things about it. But they are looking at, obviously, to cast the opposite of that, like a young person, a young John Stewart, who may, as you mentioned, come to be a Green Lantern and bring different insights, right? Like, you're probably going to see a lot more TikTok references or more mainstream media things in this series from his point of view. But the idea, I think, if it's the rumors are true, the theories, I guess they're more theories rather than rumors. If they're going to, like, we have to remove what's his name, Hal Jordan at the end of this, and John Stewart will become our main Green Lantern. It sounds like, whoever they pick is going to carry that mantle forward. But also, don't forget, they have Nathan Fillion as Guy Gardner with the goofy bowl cut Green Lantern in Superman as well. So they are absolutely giving Green Lanterns a lot more, I guess, airtime than they've ever gotten before at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll keep you guys posted as we get more information on this series. News dropped later in the week this week. Bane and Deathstroke movie is in the works at Warner Brothers DCU. And I say in the works, this is very much pre-production. Script has been ordered. Doesn't mean, yes, it's got a green light and they're going to make it. But obviously they've hired Matthew Orton, who was a writer in Captain America Brave New World, to write the script for these two characters. Both of them have appeared in movies. I guess multiple. Well, Deathstroke has only been once recently with Joe Manganiello. Bane was in Batman and Robin, and then also obviously in The Dark Knight Returns. Right? Is it Returns? The third Nolan film. So they want to.
Yes.
Yeah. So they want to put them together in a movie. Now, this could be a backdoor to a Secret Six film, which are 6 supervillains that are sometimes led by Lex Luthor, kind of like the Sinister Six at Marvel. Very similar ideas. But a lot of people, like, this seems very similar to Deadpool and Wolverine. Why would you put 2 villains as the main leads in a movie, right? Who are technically the villains up against? Do you root for the villains in this situation? Mike, what do you think?
I mean, this is the best part about the current slate over at DC is so much hasn't been done yet, right? I mean, if you pitched 2 villains together in a Marvel movie, you might not be too surprised because, like, oh, okay, well, they've done team ups before. They've had, like, the kind of anti-hero in the MCU already. So the thing that's exciting me about the DCU is I just don't know what's coming yet. I'm not as familiar with the characters because I just haven't been as endeared to them all my life. The Marvel, I just happened to watch the Marvel animated shows growing up as a kid, which led me into the comic books, which led right into the cinematic universes. So it's like this whole untapped other side of the coin of comic book movies. So I'm just like, yeah, I don't know a whole lot about Deathstroke or Bane beyond what I've seen them in movies already. So
I would say
I'm down.
Deathstroke I know the most of because he was literally like the main recurring villain in Arrow for like 3 seasons, if not more. So I say I know Deathstroke just a hair more. Bane, obviously everybody makes fun of the voice he had in the Dark Knight Rises. Dark Knight Rises. I'll never remember the name of that third one. She should have named it something different, Christopher Nolan. I don't care. Just a different title would have given us a lot more. But yeah, this is fun. I think it'd be interesting to see what they do with this. I would say on the other side, like, we're currently Agatha All Along is a show about essentially being led by villains, evil witches doing evil things, or working towards their own personal gain. So it's not unheard of for villains to get their own thing. Deadpool and Wolverine. Anti-heroes, Venom, I guess, anti-hero, right? So bring it on. If phase 1 of DCU is gods and monsters, put them in the monsters section and let's see how this goes, right? Give them some room to be some badder people to beat up along the way or before they take over. But It would be interesting to see again Bane, a essentially traditional luchador mask, pumped up on Venom and Deathstroke, eye patch, right? Is that him? With the swords, like always fighting the Teen Titans. So like they're very much yin and yang of how they would approach a fight together, I guess, at the end of the day, which would be fun to watch on scene. I can see the action scenes in my head, Mike. And I think that's exciting along the way. Moving on out of DC into Marvel, Deadpool and Wolverine, we're starting to get some tips on the deleted scenes. And one of them this week teases a cutscene where Deadpool gets into the elevator with, I can't think of his name. It's not Syntax, it's whatever, Paradox. And he's like trying to explain what a multiverse is. And he's like, yeah, I've seen Dr. Ant and the Quantum Verse of Madness. So a little poke at Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness and Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania being multiverse movies, right? Along the way. So not afraid to skewer their own parent company, if you will.
Yeah, there's other there's like other clips floating around too of like Paradox chatting with, it's like, is it P15? Am I imagining what the
B51 or be something like that?
Yeah, something like that. So it's kind of interesting. I always forget that not nobody, you still buy steelbooks and DVDs, but I am curious, Chris, how often do you open up those steelbooks, put the disc in the player, and then go watch the deleted scenes, or do you just watch them on YouTube like everyone else does?
Yeah, YouTube, or
because it seems like the deleted scenes are more of a it's more of a marketing material now to remind people that the movie exists and they should go buy it.
Yeah, absolutely. I do enjoy watching it, like with the digital codes that come with them. It's easier to go into like those and find the deleted scenes, because they will strike the deleted, some of those like bonus features, like the making of, right? I like watching some of the making ofs where they talk to the action, like here's how we did the action, or here's how I saw it was a behind the scenes how they did little I guess, was it comic accurate Wolverine, right, with Hugh Jackman, and he jumps down. So like I do enjoy watching how did they do this. They did a lot of that in camera before they had to scale that. So I was like, oh, this is fun to watch. So I do like watching those, but I will go into the digital code library, or like on Disney Plus they have that as well, right, under the features, before I put the disc in to watch that stuff at the end of the day. So but it is pure marketing material. Speaking of marketing material, Marvel wants to, or I guess Disney wants to push Deadpool and Wolverine for an Oscar recognition, knowing that's coming up beginning of next year, including Hugh Jackman as Best Supporting Actor.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. Marvel likes to make these pushes even if they're a bit of a stretch. I just rewatched the movie recently. Hugh Jackman's obviously amazing in the role, but I got to imagine that there's going to be a lot of competition, like there always is with best performances in a film in any given calendar year. I just think that this is just the time when you just turn on the marketing machine that is Ryan Reynolds, have him step in front of the camera, do some funny stuff, talk directly to the Academy. Like we said, throw it up online somewhere. It'll be fun. We'll probably talk about it on the show for a week, and then, of course they won't win any Oscars, but that doesn't mean it wasn't a good movie.
Yeah. Well, exactly. It'll help. I don't think they'll do another version like they did the super duper versions of this stuff. I think they'll, just keep this version. But it will give Marvel something / Disney to put in front of people next year, right? And again, the Ryan Reynolds was it Maximum Effort Productions or whatever his marketing company is. They're always fun, right? Even if they're just little pop-ups. He can get anybody in a video with him. Like, remember Brad Pitt was in Deadpool 2, Mike, even if it was just for like a split second, a couple frames. Like, he can literally pull anybody into any movie and do that. I did want to point out, I don't know this, I forgot a couple weeks ago, I was watching Jackass, the original Jackass show on my Plex server. In season 1, I think it was season 1, Brad Pitt was in like half the season episodes. Like they were like, oh, I'm Brad Pitt, and they'll kidnap him and throw him in a van kind of thing, like, and like pretend they're kidnapping him in front of people and getting reactions. So Brad Pitt, he just seems like a cool guy back in the day, just down to do everything. Moving on to the Vision series, Mike. We know this is in the production. We got Terry Matalas from Star Trek Picard working on it, but the series, I keep seeing this report. rumor, theory, I don't know, but I've got to put up here that James Spader is not just going to be the voice of Ultron, but be like the human version of Ultron in whatever world Vision is creating. Maybe it's his head, maybe it's like, you know, his like robot computing space, whatever it is. And then also to go along with that, the rumor is James Darcy and Kerry Condon have joined the cast as the human versions. Again, James Darcy was already Jarvis in what was it, Agent Carter, and then In-Game, and then Kerry Condon is the voice of Friday, and she'll be in human form as well. Makes me wonder what they're doing with the show. I'm curious, not bad curious. I'm like, how are they telling the Vision story?
It's very confusing. You kind of have to read between the lines of just like, okay, so James Spader was the voice of Ultron, who created Vision, but is not going to be playing Ultron. Is going to be playing a human version of himself. But will it look like James Spader? And then Paul Bettany is technically the voice of Jarvis, but he's also himself as Vision. Mm-hmm. So then you bring in another actor that actually personified Jarvis back in the day. So there's lots of fun kind of crazy thought experiments going on there. But obviously we love James Spader. His voice is extremely captivating. So, I mean, even though some people are Age of Ultron apologists and try to say that we were too hard, the royal we, I know you are a little bit more positive on the movie than I was. We were too hard on it back in the day, and people should come back around to it. I've not come back around, and I will not come back around. But they do bring up a good point of just like Ultron. I feel like there's still a lot to do with that character. Yeah. Something that could essentially exist forever because he could save a bit of himself on like an SD card somewhere, or like he could linger somewhere in a satellite orbiting Earth. So it's an interesting threat that could still be out there.
The interesting thing about Vision, I guess not Vision, but Ultron was like literally we are now, AI is the biggest buzzword of the world, right? And we watched this movie almost 10 years ago, which they were creating an AI to protect the world. And I'm like, oh boy, you're ahead of your game. But I think I think Age of Ultron, it's got some really fun scenes. It's good, but like that movie shoves so much in one film, right? The creation of Wanda and Pietro Maximoff, the twins, right? We get the the Mind Stone, the not just the Mind Stone. What's the other stone they use in there? But anyway, like the creation of Ultron, the creation of
Soul Stone, right?
Well, the Soul Stone was Infinity War. It's the I don't remember what it is. It doesn't matter. But like the thing is, that movie crammed so much new stuff in, right? Whenever they could have used a couple films to bring them in separately rather than all at once. Like jumping into Sokovia and like all this other stuff. That movie again transitioned a lot of Marvel going forward. The same with Winter Soldier. So like I think it's got some great scenes, but like it is cram packed with like a lot of stuff, and like a lot of those people never got a time to breathe or do more. And I think Ultron would benefit from that. Vision. I know he's had a couple one-off things there, but like he's still pretty fucking cool. Like remember when he helped Mjolnir for the first time? Like that moment still gives me chills to this day. I'm like, God, that was such a cool reveal that he is can be trusted, right? That he is doing that. So that's pretty cool. But yeah, Vision series, I don't know what they're doing with it. It sounds like it maybe it's in Vision's mind. Maybe I don't think he's dealing with this is Ultron as a person. I don't think they're really gonna make it that way. I think it's gonna be like maybe some sort of computer program. Maybe it's like that show Reboot that we talk about sometimes in our group chats, right? And you have to deal with that. But Vision series coming probably in the next couple of years. On adjacent to that, literally everything we've talked about. We got Agatha All, we got Vision. Next up is the Scarlet Witch, and this is more of an X-Men thing. But like the rumor is Scarlet Witch, there will be a solo movie, and this has come from multiple scoopers. Very reliable ones is that we'll see. There'll be a Scarlet Witch movie that Wanda will take center stage in the Mutant Saga after her solo movie, and that she will also get a solo film, 2 more spinoffs after the Vision show, and major roles in the next Avengers films and the Mutant Saga. So Now, mind
Yeah,
you,
what are there agents in rooms? I feel like this has got to be stemming from some sort of like big contract that's being signed. You
mhm.
know,
It,
I wouldn't be surprised to hear a rumor of like, oh, a Scarlet Witch movie, but the fact that so much is coming out about a wealth of projects makes me think that there's some dealings happening in a conference room somewhere
yeah.
for millions of dollars.
They've probably used what's that EFAX service, and someone's intercepted the EFAX contracts going back and forth.
Oh, the DocuSign,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Someone's get to see the DocuSign, but like um, I don't think they owe Elizabeth Olsen anything. I don't think she's she's not bad. They didn't wrong her. She didn't do anything wrong. So I don't think there's anything. But like, it seems they may be relying on her to maybe kick off the mutant saga, right? Being one of the first, at least more prominent mutants. My theory,
Well,
this is a personal theory, that House of M is like,
yeah,
where she
and
had no more
oh
mutants,
yeah, yes.
but it's the
That's
other
kind
way.
of what that's what I was thinking too. I mean, if she is one of the biggest catalysts within the comic books. It's I guess it's not a surprise. I never really thought about it before, but yeah, she could be the catalyst in the reverse direction. You know, maybe some crazy stuff is happening with all of the battle worlds at the end of this final announced Avengers movie, and then she sweeps in and does, one big magical spell. I got to imagine it looks differently on screen, right? If
Yeah,
I remember the comic book panel, it was almost just very stoic and soft. It was like just one little
tiny
dialogue
text.
bubble,
It just said
very
no.
like very
Yeah,
simple. It just said like no more mutants, right?
yeah, and
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 like
someone.
that's kind of not the Wanda that we have been introduced to, so they kind of have to work their way
Yeah.
to something like that.
Yeah, and in that one, it's actually ironic that she comes to find out that in House of M, like, her children aren't real; they're constructs, right? Like we saw at the end of like we saw in WandaVision. So like she was like mutants did this, the mutant world, like I'm gonna erase a lot of them because of her kids, and like maybe it's this way, like no, my kids have, maybe they'll find a way to come to life. Is the theories? We'll see if any of it comes true. She wants to make her thing. So, someone showed me the Simpsons theme where they're like, oh, this isn't right. They do no, comma, more mutants, exclamation mark, rather than the other way. So it's like, no,
Mm,
we need more mutants. But maybe they're not mutants. Maybe she does something. She doesn't maybe say, oh, I need mutants exactly. But she does something because she has reality adjusting powers, right? She can cross across multiverses. As we saw Multiverse of Madness in the other films, she was literally warping reality, as we saw with her powers, making people think other things in Age of Ultron. So I don't know
yeah,
what they could do, but she's
it could
powerful.
be yeah, it could be like a monkey paw type of situation where I know she's not like a genie's lamp, but if we're kind of constructing a situation like that, it could be, oh, I wish the people of Earth had the ability to protect themselves
Hmm.
more from, you know,
Yeah.
invaders or other worlds or universes. Just like, well, all right, well then I'll make like, a coin flip of if they're gonna have powers or
It,
not.
well, and this is not how I imagine it being, but like, do you remember the entering the opening scene in the Prometheus movie where like, oh, the life on Earth is from the genetic materials of the engineers? Well, maybe she
Yeah.
has sacrifices herself, or it's like, okay, I'm coming into this world, I'm going to populate it with people, and my powers will reside in them, and they'd be like, well, everyone gets a different power, so maybe they're mutants, they're mutations, and that causes their powers to come to life. I don't know. There's tons of ways they
Yeah.
could do this.
Yeah, maybe.
We're obviously not the writers, but we are hireable if you need any ideas. Marvel,
Yeah.
please
I have
come.
a very fair rate.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll do it. I'll do it for screenwriters guild memberships for sure. But I'm this. I see a lot of the. It's not necessarily WandaVision, but Wanda's always been popular since her introduction in the MCU. But the WandaVision, the Agatha all along viewership numbers are through the roof. The popularity with that. Vision's getting the series. There seems to be someone with we want to use this character beyond Multiverse of Madness. We're going to find a way to do it. And as you said, someone saw this huge contract with all these little tick box, like, you get all these good benefits if you sign with us today. So I'm excited to see some announcements, but I know we're probably still a year or two away for that. Oh, also, I know what I was thinking. Doctor Doom is a magic user, Mike. Could you imagine seeing Doctor Doom, Robert Downey Jr. versus Scarlet Witch magic fights in like Secret Wars or something like that? Because obviously they got into it in Civil War again, but like it'd be kind of fun to see their magic powers going back and forth. So we'll keep you guys posted.
I'd watch that.
Yeah, I'd watch that. It's a good tagline. Guys, write that down. Moving on. My biggest thing. We're gonna end the show. My hype moment here, Mike, because I'm a big. I have a few favorite characters in the Marvel Comics world. Black Bolt, one of them, absolutely ruined by Marvel Television. But next year we get to see the live action debut of the Sentry in Marvel's MCU. Black Bolt got redeemed, I guess, a little bit in the MCU. He was very quickly killed off as well. But we get to see the Sentry in that. We know he's going to be in Thunderbolts, but he's not the focus of this trailer. We get to see the team come together in this first trailer. We've talked about this before. It's interesting to see the team. They've all been sent to find each other, kill each other, whatever they do in this bunker. We see a person named Bob, which I'm pretty sure is short for Robert Reynolds, the Sentry, and then it kind of goes into some other action scenes throughout. Now, Mike, did you have any questions or comments on the stuff we've already seen before? Because it seems to be pretty good. It's great to see Ghost and Taskmaster in their new, more comic outfits as well, right? They kind of look the same with the white mask, but it's fine.
It's just it feels great. It just feels a little bit smaller and more intimate. Like we're watching maybe a Disney Plus series style storyline, but like on the big screen. I feel like that's kind of how it used to be, but then the movies got chopped up into series. Doesn't feel like we're necessarily saving the world or even the country. There's like a different maybe storyline going on here where these not villains, not anti-heroes, but these kind of
work for hire
rebel
people.
Antagonists. These just kind of like loser thugs are just kind of getting marked out, not around anymore. It's just like a fun, interesting story that it's going to be more of them fighting for their lives and less of them fighting to save the world. I'm looking forward to kind of a story like that. I love all the characters in this show. This movie, I didn't realize it until I was kind of looking at the poster. I was like, man, I didn't realize Black Widow was going to be doing so much legwork. The film Black Widow for this movie, like half of the movie poster is from that film. And Yelena seems to be carrying the film. Like if there's a call sheet, it looks like she might be number one on it. And that's straight up coming right out of Black Widow. So
Black Widow,
I'm loving the.
Yeah, I would also say Falcon and Winter Soldier brought a lot of this forward, right? With U.S. Agent and Bucky kind of coming as well.
Yeah, but I didn't like that. No, I didn't like that show.
I'm not saying the show was good and it needs a sequel, but I'm like saying like we wouldn't have a U.S. agent who's like, I got something to prove if we didn't have that show, right? We wouldn't have Bucky. And I said this, the scenes at the end are Bucky blowing up the car because he loves blowing up a car with his little magnet mines. But they also yank that other truck with his metal arm. Like he seems to be like a powered up Bucky. Like he's like returned to form. He's not like, oh, I'm getting slapped by little mercenary dudes and I can't fight. But like he like yanked that chain and flipped that car over. I'm like, oh, this is the Bucky from the Winter Soldier movie rather than the one we got from the Falcon and Winter Soldier series, right? So I think they're gonna skip over a lot of that and just be like, okay, this is the characters. If you want to watch them, go see that. But like, there's that. You mentioned Black Widow. Scarlett Johansson is an executive producer. This might be her secret project, Mike. That we were like, oh, she's got a producer credit on something. I think this is it along the way. So you're right.
I mean, I feel like she's been in the industry long. She's a seasoned professional. I think she's already produced things, if I can recall correctly. Outside of just I'm popular enough now, so when I want more money on a project, I just want a producer credit. No, like I think she's getting more creatively involved in these things, and I'm here for it. Yeah, I love the trailer. It seems like what's left to talk about is just all things Sentry, right? Well, this big, looming, powerful character that I would say the average person on the street does not know yet, but if Marvel does what Marvel does, everyone will know who the Sentry is
Oh, yeah.
here by the end of this phase.
I cannot wait for the toys. I'm an action figure guy, Mike. You know me. Now I'm gonna share you. So there's a scene where Yelena gets into that bunker, right? And she's like, "Oh, hey, there's a computer and some files here." Well, I use my enhance mode, where I literally type on the computer and just click enhance, enhance, and on that computer is a couple things. I noticed like right away is that it says it says the Watchtower, which is the Sentry's home base was called the Watchtower in the comic book. So that's going to come back into the next bullet point. But there's other things. There's multiple Sentry logos, multiple hair links, and multiple like different things. So I'm thinking theory that the Sentry in this situation, he obviously is going to take power, but like that Val is trying to make a superhero in this movie, Mike. Like they're like, oh, this is what people want to see. This is what the public wants. We heard Thunderbolt Ross, General Ross wants to bring the Avengers project forward. Val's making it a public poll kind of thing. Like we want people to love our new superheroes, and that's why I think Thunderbolts will lead into the new Avengers, because they're probably gonna like uncover something and like, oh, you did a great job, it was a test, and these are your new Avengers to the public to kind of I guess pave all this over.
Either Sentry or Bob is a failed experiment and they're sending all of the goons in there to take him out.
Mm-hmm.
Or he is not yet failed experiment. If we know he's kind of dealing with these dual personalities, possibly in this version of the character, maybe they kind of, throw him into a room, put his back against the wall and see what he can do. Cause maybe he's too timid and doesn't want to bring his powers out. But I'm curious to see. I feel like this is going to be a big character that's going to sustain for films and franchises. So
I really hope they don't kill him.
They do it right here.
I hope they don't kill him.
Yeah, I was telling my wife when we were watching the trailer, I was like, well, we're lucky with this. We're lucky with the Thunderbolts that this film kind of started filming. Like the production started in the Chapek, quantity is better than quality era. But I don't think that started filming until that was reversed. So I think this will kind of be our first chance to kind of get on the other side of that mandate of put out good things first.
Yeah.
Deadpool and Wolverine, kind of it's its own kind of creative thing. I think that was almost destined to be good.
Yeah.
Just because Ryan Reynolds was the powerhouse behind it, and you can tell him what to do, but you can't so much because he embodies the role. So that was a little bit more insulated from, studio shenanigans. Yeah. So I have high hopes.
Yeah. I'm looking up. Do you remember when Chapek left? I'm trying to. Disney.
2022. Was it 23?
22.
November? Was it like November 22 or something?
I think it was November 22. Yeah, November 22. Thunderbolts was announced in June, and they hadn't even cast yet by the time he left. So I think you're right. Also, if you remember, it was Stephen Yeun was supposed to originally be Bob in this movie, so he had to leave. So obviously they've done some work to do that. Louis Pullman, great. Again, he was in Top Gun. He's in Salem's Lot, so he's playing that character. Lastly, I think I sent you this photo. I scoured this trailer with screenshots almost to a fault, but I noticed that whenever the team is circling Val, it looks like a big confrontation, right, in a big building, like a big open room, that the bar in that thing is the exact drinking bar from the Avengers 1 Stark Tower with the curved rocks and everything. So
it's a load bearing bar. You can't take that out or the whole tower collapses.
Exactly.
So you got to leave it in there.
Right. That bar alone carried the weight of the entire movie of the Avengers, right? Because they have a Hulk, and that's, if people remember, we have a Hulk. That's the scene that's from. And that exact bar ripped out of that building, the rims of that building, is in this new tower. And I believe wholeheartedly that we're going to see that Stark Tower was purchased by either the government or whatever they're going to call this, and it's going to be the new Avengers Tower revealed in the Thunderbolts movie, Mike. and that bar alone is what I'm basing my theory on. Within minutes of watching this trailer when it drops, so pretty stoked for that.
I mean, that could be fun. We're wondering what that asterisk is at the end. Yeah, I think New Avengers, that could be fun, and then you're gonna have this, whole, dilemma of, these are government agents. These are like kind of, truth, justice in the American way. I know it's kind of being pulled from Superman, but kind of same difference. But
and they call it the Watchtower because obviously that's what they were calling the other one. So possibly that could be the maybe that bunker was a Watchtower, but I can see them like, oh, people like instead of Avengers Tower, they like it being called the Watchtower. So we're gonna rename the tower the Watchtower because that's what the people want in America, kind of thing. So I'd be interested. I'm very hyped. If people have any questions on this, you want to shoot me a message, please do, because I would love to talk about this for hours, and I can tell you everything you want to know about the Sentry. Almost to a fault there as well. But that's our episode for the week. Thank you guys for joining us. Mike, if people want to know what you're up to, what you're doing, where can they find you at, my friend?
Oh, they can find my webcomics at liferewardsrisk.com and pickledcomics.com. Chris, if people want to catch up with you, where can they find you?
You can find me on Instagram, Valdan87, Valdan, or Video Game System, the same name. People want to look there. If people know about the show, where they can go get all our notes, our release schedule that we keep updated, that we haven't had to update in a while, or see any of these show notes with the links to the trailers, where can they get all them goodies?
Oh, all you have to do, our Watchtower exists at superheroslate.com. Best place to find all the avenues we host our show. Get our awesome show notes if you want to see the trailers and videos that we talked about today, all on our show notes over there at superheroslate.com. We're on Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Spotify, wherever else you love listening to find podcasts like our own. You can get merch at superheroslate.com/store. We love hearing from you. Reach out. Let us know what you're snacking on, what you're watching. Are you going to get that PVOD Hellboy, the Crooked Man, and watch it? If you do, let us know what you think of it. And we love our super fans. So if you want to be a super fan of this show, all you got to do is share the show with a friend, share the show with a buddy, and we'll be here every week, folks.
That's right. We'll see you guys next week.